Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with Dr. C.W. Grant. This man has so much wisdom. He is retired, but he used to be the Vice President of Student Affairs at Albany State University. And this morning, he's going to be sharing some wisdom with us about Black History Month and the Civil Rights Movement. Dr. Grant, we really appreciate you being here this morning.
Pleasure. It's my pleasure being here with you this morning.
And now you're going to be speaking at Darton at 11 a.m. this coming Thursday.
Correct.
And tell us a little bit about what you're going to be speaking about at Darton.
I'm going to be talking to the black students at Darton and any student at Darton about the importance of this generation doing something that we can record for history for tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Now, we can talk about all of the experiences, all of the wonderful things that African Americans have done in the past. But we need some historians, some history makers right now.
Very true.
For tomorrow.
Very true. Mm-hmm. Wonderful message. And can you give us any little tidbits of what goes into that whole entire speech and a main point? Or?
I'm a component of having my students understand the importance of the English language. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to really be talking about synonyms, because if students learn how to negotiate the English language, then they can be successful. I want them to understand that the only language that's spoken at the marketplaces in America is English. Mm-hmm. And I have no problems with dialogues. I have no problems with Ebonics. I have no problem with it. But I want the importance to be placed on the English language. Mm-hmm. And if we get that done, we can have some history made. Right. But you really cannot create history if you do not know the language.
All right. Fantastic. That's a wonderful point to drive home, definitely. Talking about Black History Month, what do you think the significance is of having this month to commemorate?
I think the unfortunate thing is it's only a month. Mm-hmm. I think that history should be going on all the time. But it is very significant for not only African American kids, but every American to know the contributions that African Americans have made to this country. Simple things like the traffic light. Mm-hmm. Every day when you pull up out there, an African American invented the traffic light.
Well, now I didn't know that. I don't
know and there's a coupling that hold rail cars together. An African American invented that. So there are any number of things that African Americans have done in this country that people do not know about. So there's much significance associated with the Black History Week or Black History Month, but I want it to go on all the time.
Definitely. That's just fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. I did not know that at all. Now, do you feel that Black History Month has lost its significance at all?
I think that too many people are not aware that this is Black History Month. Mm-hmm. But Black History Month cannot lose its significance based on some of the things I just told you.
Right, exactly.
And but we need more of that information out there. And unfortunately, only during Black History Week, Black History Month, mm-hmm. is when we put it out. Right. I wouldn't be surprised if some kid in this generation have no idea what Carver did with the peanut at Tuskegee. So and it's every day. He did Jiffy. There wouldn't be no peanut butter had it not been for George Washington Carver. So it's the significance of Black History Month. You cannot take any of its significance away from it.
Fantastic. What do you think are some things that we can do to keep the significance going and to make it, not just a month-long thing, but to be aware of it all year?
What you're doing right now, have some old person come and talk about.
I like to say wise. A wise person come talk. That's so funny. Well, you talked about comparing yesterday's students to today's students. Enlighten us a little bit.
In my opinion, those of us who are responsible for running colleges and universities during the revolution, I tell people I was a dean during the revolution, but the difference is we may not have agreed with the method of transportation that our students elected to use yesterday, but they knew where they wanted to go. The students who were on my campus during the revolution, they knew they wanted to go to freedom. They knew they wanted to have a better day. I didn't agree with the demonstrations and the rioting and all that, but at least they knew where they wanted to go. But the problem today, in my opinion, is not only do our students not know the mode of transportation they wish to use, they have no idea where they wish to go. And we need to do a better job with that.
Well, Mr. Grant, Dr. Grant, excuse me, we really appreciate you being here this morning. He has so much wisdom to share, and we love to have you back on at another time to talk with us all about it. Just time is too short this morning, but thank you so much again for being on.
Thank you very much for having invited me.
Well, we're going to go over to Melanie now and see what she's got. The full interview right now. I was just kidding, Dr. Grant.
It's all right.
This is Dr. C.W. Grant, and he is retired now, but he used to be the Vice President of Student Affairs at Albany State, and we really appreciate you being here this morning.
It's my pleasure.
Well, we have enjoyed talking to him already this morning, but and he just has so much wisdom to share, and I want you to talk to me about the civil rights era in Albany, and we have the Civil Rights Institute. Would you share a little bit about that with me?
Well, my memory is very vivid of the night that Dr. King was assassinated. The Tuskegee Institute Choir was performing at Albany State, and somebody ran in and said that Dr. King has been killed, and all hell broke loose. My students and a lot of us marched down to what is Front Street in Albany, the Albany Civic Center is there now, but Front Street was a dirt street in 1968. And when we got to that Front Street, there was a battalion of police and all kind of people with guns and everything saying that if you can't go any further. Now, if you want to demonstrate, you can take a left turn here on this dirt Front Street and go towards the dump, but you can't go any further. And that was pandemonium. And of course, the basis for their decision was we didn't have a permit, which, and I'm a lawyer, I understood that. But the next day we got a permit and we demonstrated, the students demonstrated downtown. But those were some turbulent times, not only in the city, but a campus was a microcosm of what happens in the community. And so the demonstrations, the anger, the everything just exploded. And when Dr. King was killed, you couldn't contain the anger. It was just, and I was angry also, but I had the responsibility of trying to help my students understand that this is not the way that we should do. But I understood why they were doing it. And if you have an opportunity, if anyone in our community would have an opportunity to go to the Civil Rights Institute, they will see recorded what happened during the civil rights era in our community. You know, many people say that Dr. King failed in Albany, and that's simply not the truth. He was very, very successful because he aroused the consciousness of everybody in this community. Now, at that time, there was a white chief of police here whose name was Pritchard. He understood nonviolence, and he instructed and demanded of his officers not to do anything violent against demonstrators. But he had no control over what happened when he sent prisoners to the communities, jails in the community of Southwest Georgia. All kinds of atrocities took place against demonstrators in those jails at that time. But in the museum, Danny Lyons was the incredible photographer. during the Civil Rights era. And all of his pictures are in the museum of all of the burned churches in this community. All of those things are in the Civil Rights Institute. Now, the interesting thing about that is if an old man like myself, and I take pride in telling people that I'm 81. Now, and when I look back, I see some incredible changes. But when a young person like yourself, or a young African American who is 21, when he looks back, he doesn't see all those things, so he's still angry about some things that are still happening. You know, one of the prodigious demonstration of hatred is the attitude of some Americans about Barack Obama being the president of the United States. But he won an election, and that's how he got to be the president. Right. But all of that is in the Civil Rights Institute.
Okay.
And if an old person like me, when you go through it, when you walk out, you're crying. A young person is just delighted because they saw a replica of a bus that African Americans had to sit on the back of if they rode, but those are the kinds of things that we want our young our community to know about.
Fantastic. Dr. Grant, you have so much wisdom, so many things to talk about, and our time is just way too short to hear all of it. But definitely everyone get by the Albany Civil Rights Institute and you can hear all of these things plus so much more that he's been talking about. Again, Dr. Grant, we really appreciate you.
It's my pleasure.
Here.
Thank you very much.
And we're going to go over to Melanie now, who's got, I think, some more music.